about to cook up some breakfast here. I just wanted to show you this. I was into the bees yesterday, and I was just doing their last treatments for Oxytet and icing sugar mix. And the sun went down, and I could hear all of this suspicious buzzing going on. And these are just storage boxes. I don't have any active hives here. And I could hear all this buzzing, and I thought, geez, is there a swarm that moved into these boxes? And what it was is I've actually got some honey stored in a few of these boxes, and I was saving it to feed back to the bees if they needed it this year. Now their honey stores were actually quite a bit further along, or a little bit further along than I thought when I looked yesterday. And I think the reason is because they've already found these boxes and basically helped themselves to the honey. There's a bunch of bees that are still flying around today trying to figure out how to get back in. They're naughty bees, let's just say that. Yeah, happy fall. First days of autumn here, the tiny cabin, and what a beautiful day it is today. Just had a couple of neighbors over, and we were all chatting about the honeybees and the honey crop this year. So I'm just gonna cook up some brunch. So this was a bit of a disaster, bit of a mistake from a couple of weeks ago, and I was cooking up some sugar water for the bees and burnt a batch. So not sure what I'm gonna do with this. Might just dump it in the back bush here somewhere and let the yellow jackets clean it up. So this is how I cook up here. For probably 70 or 80% of my cooking is just done on this tiny little butane stove, which I've had for years. I also use the barbecue, and I've discovered over the last 17 years of being off grid here that simple is almost always the best solution. If we're going looking for complicated things, or some new plan that might work a little better than the old plan, simple is your best friend. Another beautiful day here at the off-grid cabin. The garden is pretty much all picked over. I was looking at the trail cams because I noticed that most of my sunflower heads are gone. When I saw a squirrel inside the garden, just basically a mouthful of my sunflower plants, the heads. I like to get in there. I try to get in there before them to harvest the seeds, so I'll see if I got anything left. I wanted to point out these wildflowers. Like, these are just gorgeous here, and they're taller than me now. These just came in a packet that I got, so I planted them, and these things just kept growing and growing. And for most of the summer, it was just green. There was no flower. And then in August, late August, they started popping, and they just keep growing, and they're just gorgeous. So I don't know what kind of flowers they are, but there seems to be like different types of blooms on the same plant. Am I going crazy saying that? Well, see, I'm not sure. I got these white flowers. Okay, they must be a different plant. All right, I'm just crazy. Anyways, they were very pretty. I'm not a professional gardener, if that's not evident, but I know what I like. I like these. Yeah, a little short, stubby guy. They're so good. That's one of my favorite things in the world, are fresh carrots out of the garden. They just taste amazing when they come right out of the ground like that. Oh, short and stubby. Huh? crowd sizes and everything. It's funny, I just I just read the side of this box. I found this floating in the creek last year, and it says return to Cole's bookstores. So not sure I'm going to do that or not.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Beekeeper Boulevard indeed. I wasn't expecting to do too much today. I was just going to chill out and relax, which I kind of did. But what I ended up doing was getting the honey supers that I already extracted out of the cabin just to get a little more space in there. Stored them in a storage shed. I'm for most of my honey supers, I'm not letting the bees clean them out this year. I'm just going to store them wet. So this is kind of cool. There's a lot of bees here. This is probably half the number of bees that were just here in the last hour or so. But the bees find it very, very quickly. You know, I put these out and within about 30 minutes or so, they were just all over them. So the bees will clean these out over the next few days. The biggest worry when you're storing brood boxes, if you don't have them sealed up, you know, perfectly, wax moths can get in. And that's exactly what happened with these. I don't know how long the boxes were open. Probably not long, because there was still an awful lot of honey in there. But on the end frames, I did find just the beginnings of wax moths moving in. So I decided to, you know, basically let the bees clean them all out. They'll do this over the next couple of days. Next weekend, I will bring the brood boxes home, and I'll put the frames in the freezer for a couple of days, which will kill the wax moths. You don't want to store boxes that have any kind of wax moth egg or larvae in them, because they will be just destroyed within a couple of weeks. I had a couple friends over yesterday, and the bees aren't aggressive, but they are. There's just so many of them that, you know, you're even drinking a coffee and there might be a couple of bees just on the handle of your coffee mug, and you get kissed. Anyways, it's kind of fun to see this. It's always busy, busy, busy when you do this. And I decided this year I'm moving my honey supers into this soft storage shed here, just to keep them out of the weather and out of the snow and rain. These are my supers that I extracted this year. I'm storing these ones wet, and then these are my nuke boxes. So these are all empty, but I just moved them in here, so there's lots of bees checking everything out. The bees basically just followed me in here and said, "Hey, where are you going with those, buddy?" It's kind of like, remember when your mom used to be making some cake or something with icing, and you'd hang around to lick the spoon. That's what the bees are doing. So kind of fun. This should all be wrapped up in the next few days, all this buzzing. And like I said, next weekend I'll come up, and there's always more to do in the bee yard. Made it this far, give me a like or subscribe, would be great. It's always fun to create content. Happy off-gridding, and yeah, more beekeeping and off-grid adventures to come. Cheers.